In 2016, an article was published on BuzzFeed titled "Drake Belongs to Black Women," highlighting the Drake we once knew who publicly adored black women. That Drake is no longer in the room with us. I remember reading that article almost 10 years ago and thinking to myself, oh yeah, I agree with some of these points. Hopefully this doesn't age poorly. I am a former Drake fan. This is my journey into becoming a certified Drake hater. I was a Drake fan ever since he was on Degrassi. I have to be clear about this. I was a day one fan. My best friend still likes to remind me of the time when we were in high school and Drake put his email address on his website. I sent him an email telling him how much I loved his music and how much I hope he became a superstar, and he actually responded to that message. Something I used to tell people with so much pride. Now I'm simply using it to explain to you how big of a fan I once was. I, like many millennials, grew up a fan of the show Degrassi. Now, if you don't know what Degrassi is, you're lying because you clicked this video. So I'm assuming you know what Degrassi is. Come on, let's be serious. But on the off chance that you don't, Degrassi was a television show, a Canadian one at that was based around a group of teens who went to Degrassi High. In home ec in middle school, my teacher sometimes just didn't feel like teaching that day, and she would wheel in a television and we would watch The Kids of Degrassi Street, Degrassi Junior High, and Degrassi High. All Canadian teen classics, but the one I was really into, of course, was Degrassi The Next Generation, because I was a preteen when this show came out. The show didn't have that many black characters, so I immediately took to the only black characters on the show, one of which was Jimmy Brooks. Despite his crooked hairline and his uneven fro, I adored Jimmy. He was one of the only black kids on the show, and so I immediately took an interest in all of his storylines. A few years down the line, they did this like behind the scenes version of Degrassi where you would get to know the actors who were on the show, and on one of these episodes of Degrassi Unscripted, as it was called, we got to know Aubrey Graham. It was then that I learned that Aubrey Graham wasn't just an actor. No, he was actually an aspiring musician.
At the end of the day, that's material possessions. That's not what I'm about. This is what I'm about.
Yeah, he wanted to be a rapper. He showed off his songbooks filled with lyrics, his microphone that he got on eBay that belonged to the Clips, allegedly with a signature on it that eventually became wiped off because he used it so much to practice. I saw this kid who wanted so badly to be a musician, wanted to be a writer, wanted to be a rapper, and I thought to myself, Canada has rappers? Drake wasn't necessarily the first Canadian rapper, but he was definitely the first one to make it big time. But during his time on Degrassi, Drake was a nobody. He was a Canadian teen actor known as Aubrey Graham. Wheelchair Jimmy. Jimmy Brooks. Like that was it. That's who he was. And when I learned that he was trying to go beyond Degrassi, I immediately became interested because, once again, he was one of the only black actors on the show, and I wanted to see him succeed. So when I found out he was doing music, the first chance that I got, I looked up his albums. Room for Improvement and Comeback Season were the first projects of his that I ever listened to. Those were the only projects that were out at the time. In fact, I don't even think that Comeback Season had come out yet. This was around like 2005, 2006. So the only thing he had out at the time was Room for Improvement. I was in high school in 2006. Now in 2006, I didn't have internet access. The only way that I could listen to Drake's music was at school during computer time because I didn't have access to a computer with internet at home. And in 2006, for those of you who were not born yet, we didn't have iPhones. Yeah, we didn't have iPhones. I had a Sidekick. And while my Sidekick did have internet access, I couldn't listen to music on it the way that we do with our phones now. So when I was at school, I would take my MP3 player and I would plug it into the computer and I would download Drake's songs and put them on there, and that's how I would listen to his music. I was very much into his music at first. I really was. I was going around school telling my friends, hey, you know Jimmy on Degrassi? You know he makes music? Yeah. Jimmy, the guy who plays Jimmy Brooks on Aubrey Graham? Yeah, he makes music. He calls himself Drake, and it's actually really good. In 2009, we got So Far Gone, which was a very exciting project. We got Bria's interlude with Omarion on there, and I remember listening to that for the first time and thinking to myself, wow, this guy's gonna be a star. He's really good. I was very impressed. I enjoyed hearing him sing. I enjoyed hearing him rap. I thought he was fantastic. And I had a lot of hope in my heart that one day, he would be on the big stage. One day, he would make it as a star in America. I had no idea how right I was at the time. If you could go back in time and tell 2006 to 2009 me, you know that actor, rapper guy that you really like? Yeah, he is the biggest rapper in the world. He's actually he's the biggest guy. He's the biggest guy. He's also the worst person. I don't know if I would believe you. Maybe about the worst person part. That part I wouldn't believe. I definitely believe that he became a huge star. It sucks that it had to coincide with him being a complete loser. Now, a lot of people will say, Drake was always a loser. This isn't new. He was always lame as hell. And current me has to agree with you. But 2006, 2007, 2009 me would not agree. And that's because there was something about Drake that felt very familiar. Drake was kind of dorky. He was corny. He was soft, he was sensitive, things that are still relevant today. He's still dorky, he's still soft, he's still sensitive. But at the time, that resonated with me because as a kid, I was dorky, I was soft, I was sensitive. I'm still all of those things, actually. That's unfortunate. Now, I don't think that being dorky, soft, sensitive, or corny are inherently bad things. I think that being dorky and being corny can be quite endearing, and I think being sensitive is really good. I think it's good that we be sensitive, we be empathetic towards each other. Now, being soft is a whole different story because you don't want to be soft your entire life. I don't necessarily think that I'm soft, but I will cry. And that's why I liked Drake, okay? I saw this guy and I thought to myself, he's singing about having his heart broken by these women. He's talking about his feelings. I love that. I get my heart broken by women all the time. I'm soft. I'm sensitive. This is something that really resonates with me. I feel like he's speaking to me. Until Drake came along, we didn't really have a goofy, light-skinned rapper who was talking about his feelings and being sensitive. And I thought that was great because I was all of those things. I have 2 black parents and 4 black grandparents, so that's where we differ. Just want to say for the record, overall Drake was totally my vibe, so he quickly became one of my favorite rappers. Now, like I said, back in 2006, 2007, 2009-ish, I didn't really have access to the internet. So the only things that I knew about Drake were the things I saw about him on television and through his music. Finding out that he was a creep was something that I didn't discover until maybe 2017, 2018. I know what you're thinking. You had to have access to the internet then. How did you not know? I wasn't chronically online back then. That's how. And I'm not saying that as a dig to chronically online people, because I'm chronically online currently. But back then, I wasn't. I mean, I'm only on my 3rd iPhone. I had shitty Androids up until like the iPhone 6 came out, and even then I wasn't really online like that. Social media wasn't really something I was like hugely into, other than posting myself on Instagram occasionally and updating my status on Facebook. I pretty much left the internet alone. So I really didn't find out until quite late that Drake is a loser. 2018 was when I stopped being a Drake fan and started on my path to becoming a Drake hater. 2007 me would really hate the person I've become. But girl, you gotta understand how we got here. Now, when it comes to Drake, there's a lot of things to dislike. I mean, we could talk for days about his weird behavior around young women. The fact that Millie Bobby Brown considered him a friend when she was a teenager, that's weird. I'm in my 30s too, and I don't know any teenagers, okay? The only people I know under 30 are 2 of my siblings. All of my friends are at least 30 and up. And the only children that I know are my brother's kids. Now, I understand when you're in an industry like the music industry, entertainment industry, film industry, you're going to interact with underage folks who are also in that industry. The way that Drake does it, however, is weird. There is no reason why a 30-year-old man should be texting a 15-year-old girl. Hearing Millie Bobby Brown say that she used to text Drake that she missed him after he would say he missed her first is weird. You cannot make that okay. There's nothing you can say that will make that make sense. Millie Bobby Brown was not a family friend. She was not a niece. She was not a sister. There's no reason for Drake to be texting a young girl, "I miss you." It's weird, it's creepy, it's lame. Now that's bad enough. Once I learned that, that was enough for me to go, I don't think I can listen to your music anymore. Let's talk about the fact that he was obsessed with Rihanna, and when she wouldn't give him any play anymore, he immediately started making music and being friends with Chris Brown, her abuser. Now, I don't want to hear anything about Rihanna forgiving Chris Brown. That is her right. She was the survivor of his abuse. But for Drake to go on to befriend a known abuser in the industry, and don't come on here talking about, oh, that was so long ago. Chris Brown is a repeat offender, okay? We also don't support Chris Brown in this house. For me, seeing Drake befriend Chris Brown was very spiteful. It was almost as if he was telling Rihanna, oh, you don't want to fuck with me anymore? Watch me make a #1 hit with your abuser. That's gross. I'm also a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan, and seeing him support Tory Lanez, knowing that that man shot her, is disgusting. There's no excuse for that. We all know that he shot that girl. I don't want to hear your opinions. I don't want to hear your theories. That man is sitting in a prison cell right now because of what he did to her. Tory Lanez is another freaking loser who I unfortunately used to be a fan of. I'm 0 for 2. I was a fan of Tory because my brother introduced me to him through his Chicks Tape series. I enjoyed that series. Back then I thought, oh, here's another Canadian singer boy. I like his music. He sounds interesting on the tracks. Like I like his voice, you know, this is nice. When I learned what he looked like, I was like, what is that? I was confused because I pictured him completely differently in my mind. But nonetheless, I was a fan until he shot Megan. Now, Tory Lanez and Drake didn't always get along. There was a time when they were not friends. They were actively beefing. Or should I say Tory was actively beefing with Drake? I'm not sure if Drake was ever actually paying him any mind. You know, Drake loves to sneak diss and sub people in his songs, and he definitely did that with Tory as well. But I don't think it ever got to the point, you know, what we saw with Drake and Kendrick, for sure. Especially now that Drake obviously considers Tory a friend after bringing him on tour and supporting him on Instagram, shouting, "Free you," on his Instagram story with a picture of him after his conviction. Drake, I just want you to be so for real. So for real. Be so for real. For once in your life. I know it's difficult. I know it's so hard being a black, light-skinned Canadian with a white mother. Like, being for real, that's probably not something that's very familiar to you. I get it, but I need you to try. A lot of netizens speculate that the reason that Drake went on to support Tory Lanez is similar to the reason that he went on to support Chris Brown, to spite the woman who slighted him. A lot of people speculate that Megan didn't want to sleep with him, didn't want anything to do with him, and for that reason, he went on to support the man who shot her. Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense for you to befriend somebody who caused someone bodily harm just because they didn't want to be with you? Don't you think that proves them correct in not wanting to fucking be around you? Drake will never come to that conclusion though. His support of Chris Brown and Tory Lanez makes it even more ironic and hilarious that he decided to call out Kendrick for allegedly beating on his wife. Because one, there's no proof of that. That much is true because Drake's lawyers are actively seeking proof of the allegations that he made. Hey, if you accuse someone of doing something, isn't the onus on you to prove that that was true? Why are you going through the courts to get somebody else to do your dirty work for you? That's weird. That's suspicious. Almost like you actually didn't know what you were talking about and had no proof of those allegations at all. And you're the one suing for defamation? Okay. Listen, we're all hypocrites. All of us are hypocrites in some way. I'm a hypocrite for sure. I know that. One way that I'm a hypocrite is that I don't really like male rappers. I don't really listen to male rappers. And the reason is because no matter who you listen to, they're going to be misogynistic. At some point in their lyrics, they're going to say something misogynistic, and that is something that I just can't tolerate anymore. When I was in my teens, early 20s, I really didn't think anything of a man calling a woman a bitch or a whore or just saying something disgusting in their lyrics because I just thought it was all in good fun. It was no big deal. They probably didn't really mean it. But as I grew up and realized, oh, no, they meant that shit. They think that way. I realized that I couldn't support that anymore. I don't want to hear a man calling a woman a bitch in his music. So I stopped listening to male rappers for the most part. I still consider myself a fan of people like Vince Staples and Kendrick Lamar, and they are well known for having misogyny in their lyrics. I listen to GNX like the rest of them. I'm still listening to it. Kendrick says several misogynistic things on that album. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. But it gets to a point where your behavior in real life and your lyrics start to turn people like me off. And that is something that Drake absolutely did. Don't get me wrong, the reason I stopped being a Drake fan overall is because of his icky behavior towards girls and women. But he hasn't necessarily stopped that behavior. It's only gotten worse. Between him and Rihanna, him calling Megan Thee Stallion a liar and saying she never got shot, and supporting her abuser, and on top of that, all of the disrespect he shows towards the women in the lives of the men that he beefs with, Drake has a problem. He slowly but surely became an artist that a lot of black women listened to and loved and adored, felt supported by, to an artist that only incels listen to. Yeah, that's right. If you're a Drake fan, I think you're an incel. I don't care how you feel about it. The opinions of Drake fans means nothing to me. At all. So I don't care how you feel about the things that I'm saying. I think you're a loser incel. You probably have a broccoli haircut, and I would never switch lives with you. So Drake has done a lot of questionable things. I mean, I didn't even talk about the blackface that we got on the cover of the story of Adidon. In fact, I remember his only response to that diss record was him posting on Instagram that picture of him doing blackface was for a bigger purpose. It was to combat racism or whatever fuck shit he said. Sir, there's no excuse for doing blackface. You did blackface. That was weird. Like I said, 2018 was the last time that I listened to Drake, and that was when Scorpion was released. Now, Scorpion has some bops on it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm never gonna sit here and tell you that Drake doesn't make good music, because he has made some music that I absolutely loved. Music that I haven't listened to since, because I can't bear to listen to his music anymore. And I was very upset that I stopped being a fan before the Certified Lover Boy era, because I remember that was a highly anticipated album, and I actually was very curious to hear what that album was sounding like. I thought for sure that was going to be his magnum opus. Certified Lover Boy. That is something that fully encapsulates what Drake thinks he is, the image that he's portrayed for years. This soft, sensitive lover boy. That album was anything but. Seriously, why did he name that album that? Why did he name the album? I would never understand. First of all, can we talk about the cover art? What is that? What is that? Why would you do that? This is ugly as hell. This is the ugliest cover art I've ever seen in my life. Are you kidding me? You didn't even try. He should have been embarrassed to put this out. This is ridiculous. On top of the terrible cover art, he had a song on that album where he openly fetishized lesbians. As a dyke, I don't exactly appreciate that, sir. Girls Like Girls had some terrible lyrics. Let's read them. Say that you're a lesbian, girl, me too. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That is something that as a queer woman, I cannot stand about men. One of many things. I mean, if I were to make a video about all the things that I can't stand about men, I don't think YouTube would let me upload it. It'd probably be too long. But one of the things I especially can't stand about men is when they fetishize lesbians. You do not know how many times I have told a man that I was not interested in him because I was a lesbian, and his response was, me too. Do you speak English? Do you know what the word lesbian means? You're not a lesbian, sir. You're a man. Also, why do you think that saying that is going to change my mind? No, dude, I'm not interested. I'm a lesbian. Oh, me too. Oh, you're a lesbian as well? In that case, let's go. Let's get in my car. Let's do this. Are you stupid or something? Any man who uses that line is a fucking idiot, including Drake. And the fact that he built a song around it, once again, I know it's hard for you to be for real, but you gotta try at some point. Drake has done a lot of horrible, gross, idiotic, lame, loser-ass things in his life. But I have to thank him for one thing, thinking that he was good enough to beef with Kendrick Lamar. Drake deciding that he was gonna beef with the Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, it is really my favorite thing that Drake has done. Out of everything that Drake has done in his career, everything, him beefing with Kendrick, that's my favorite. That is my favorite. And while I will always be a Drake hater, I will always appreciate him for making an absolute idiot of himself. That was wonderful. I mean, without Drake thinking that he was good enough to beef with the Kendrick Lamar, we wouldn't have such hits as Euphoria, or Not Like Us, or Meet the Grams. That's a really fun song. I hope they use that in a horror movie one day. You know what I'm saying? Like some Jordan Peele type shit. And really, it all started, I think, with the Like That verse. And I won't say all started, because Drake and Kendrick, they've been trading subs for years now. Kendrick has clearly hated Drake for years now. which I also appreciate because I've also hated Drake for years now. But that Like That verse, yeah. When I first heard the Like That verse, all I could think was, I really hope that Drake's dumbass responds to this. And I got my wish. I should have played the lottery that week. I was really spot on with my predictions on how this beef was going to go. Because while everybody was online saying drop, 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 drop to Kendrick, all I could think to myself was, this is gonna get really, really bad for Drake. Not for me. I'm gonna have a great time. I don't know why anybody thought it was gonna go differently than the way it did. It was quite clear that Kendrick was always going to come out as the winner. Drake might be able to write a bop for the party scene, but he was never gonna win a rap battle against a real rapper. A lot of people counted Kendrick out, which I thought was weird. I watched all the reactions across this beef to every single song, and when everyone was waiting for Kendrick to drop, a lot of people thought to themselves, maybe he's not gonna respond. I don't know. Drake might have got him. Drake might have got him. Y'all really thought that the tailor-made freestyle and push-ups was gonna end Kendrick Lamar? Really? You really thought that? You really thought that, you guys? That's so funny. You guys are hilarious. You should be comedians. When Euphoria dropped, that was a beautiful day. It was a wonderful day. It was a euphoric day, one might say. I understand the reasons why Kendrick named that record that. I don't think he understood or realized, though, just how true that title was gonna be for those of us who hated Drake as much as he did. Nothing could keep me down that day. Nothing. I was riding high, okay? Like I said, I should have played the lottery. I should have done something special. Pop bottles, okay? Because that was a beautiful, beautiful day. He followed up with 616 in LA. Loved that. I loved it. And this is why when people are just like, oh my goodness, Meet the Grams was so spooky. Oh my God, it was so much. It was like a horror movie. I'm like, what did you think was coming after 616 in LA? What did you think he was gonna follow that up with, huh? Because I personally thought that 616 in LA was spooky as hell. I thought it was very dreadful. I thought that it was, hey, 616 in LA was spooky, okay? It was spooky to me, and I really enjoyed it because Kendrick told that man, hey, there are some people in your camp who do not like you. They're actually fucking with me. You might want to get that figured out. Drake didn't listen. That was my favorite part of the whole beef, you guys. My favorite part of this whole beef is the fact that Drake refused to listen. It was if you think about it, we never would have gotten all of these beautiful songs that we got from Kendrick Lamar had Drake actually listened and shut the fuck up. So thank you, Drake. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, I can't thank you enough. If, you know, I would love to send you some flowers, maybe an edible arrangement. Do you like chocolate on your strawberries and your pineapple? Or are you like the type of person who's like, oh, pineapple and chocolate, that doesn't really go together? I get that if you are. I just want to make sure that I get everything correct when I order it for you, because man, oh man, you did your big one by not shutting the fuck up. A lot of people say, if you genuinely enjoy listening to Meet the Grams, you're a psychopath. Something is wrong with you. Hey man, lock me up and throw away the key. I love that shit. I listened to it with a smile on my face, okay? You have no idea. The night that dropped, I laid in bed with my headphones on and a shit-eating grin on my face. It's the way I listen to it to this day. It's a wonderful song, and it's scary, and it's so much fun knowing that there's someone else in the world who hates Drake even more than I do. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in, is my favorite line from that track, because of the way Kendrick says it. The way he says that line, he is so filled with disgust, and it really arouses something in me. It's like I almost get turned on by how much Kendrick Lamar hates this man, because I hate him too. It brings me so much joy. In fact, I'm gonna put my sunglasses back on because I don't want you guys to see my eyes right now. I'm a little too excited. As I was saying, Meet the Grams. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful track. Drake shouldn't have said anything after that. He shouldn't have. Because Kendrick then followed that up with Not Like Us. What a celebration. What a celebration. The night that dropped, my mom called me and told me she apologized to me for not raising me on the West Coast. Mom, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's genuinely not your fault, okay? I get it. But that night, everybody wanted to be a part of the West Coast, okay? We all were from LA that night. We were all from Compton, California that night. And I still feel that, you know? I've always loved California. Every time I visit California, I feel like I'm at home. Anywhere else I've visited in the world, after a couple days, I get homesick. I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to go. This is fine. It's cool. When we leaving? When are we going home? But whenever I'm in Los Angeles, I like to take my time. I really like to hold on to that energy and really enjoy myself. And when I'm getting ready to leave, when I'm headed to that airport, all I can think to myself is, I should have booked a couple more days. The energy, the vibes in that place, it's like nothing else. And I know that the vibes and the energy were high that night. He knew what he was doing. He dropped it on a Saturday evening at that. Oh, to be a black girl in the club on a Saturday when Not Like Us dropped. I really lived vicariously through you guys that night. The best part of Meet the Grams and Not Like Us dropping was imagining Drake's face drop the moment he realized what had happened. It brought me a lot of joy. But I wasn't the only one. A lot of us were waiting on Drake's downfall. And it's not because he was at the top. It's not because he was selling the most records. It's not because he was the highest grossing rapper. It's because he sucks. If you still identify with Drake, you're a loser. That's it. You're an incel loser, and your opinion is insignificant. And for those of you who never fucked with Drake, for those of you who never liked his music, always thought he was a weirdo, I commend you, and my hat is off to you. As you can see, I'm not wearing a hat. I never was, but if I was, I would have taken it off, because you were right. And I wish that I could be in that camp. I wish I was the type of person who could say, I'm glad I never liked his music. I'm happy to say I never enjoyed that guy's music. I never liked him. I never liked Drake. Those are words I'm never going to be able to say without lying. Because the truth is, there was a time when I adored Drake. And that's what made the transition from being a Drake lover to a Drake hater so painful. Because he was once a rapper I looked up to. He was someone who I thought, wow, this guy gets it. He understands what it feels like to be this sensitive person who just wants to be accepted, you know? That was something that I felt for a long time. And I realized I couldn't live vicariously through Drake because Drake was never the person who I thought he was. Drake never cared about black women, let alone women at all. Drake was never sweet and soft and sensitive. Drake was always a bully. That much is clear with this lawsuit that he currently has against the UMG. Drake, you seriously had your lawyers ask for paternity testing to prove that Kendrick's kids are his? Are you kidding me? You should be embarrassed. Once again, you made that allegation, Drake. You're the one that said those weren't his kids. You're the one who called him a woman beater. It's on you to prove that that's true. The fact that you can't just shows that all that pontificating you were doing on that record was a fucking lie. And the worst part is you can't even own up to it. You can't even own up to the fact that you lost real bad. The best thing that you could have done after Not Like Us was went away. You should have gone away, Drake. You should have gone back up to Toronto in your little fucking castle and shut the fuck up for a couple of years. Made some music, reflected, maybe did some therapy, got food delivery so you didn't have to show your face in public, and then maybe come back when people started to miss you. You never gave anybody a chance to miss you. You kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and nobody was listening. Everything you've dropped since that beat has been trash. That's according to all of the reactors who have been listening to your music. Yeah, the ones that you put in your lawsuit because you think that UMG is paying them. Sir, Not Like Us was a bona fide hit. The moment that shit came out, it was knocking. The fact that you genuinely believe that the only reason that song was successful is because of botting and because the reactors were being paid by UMG to promote it is silly. You're silly. You're a silly man. And even if you didn't have a weird past with young girls and women, even if you never supported people like Chris Brown and Tory Lanez just to spite the women that they hurt, even if you never had that weird verse about Serena Williams' husband being a groupie, which shut up. Even if none of that weird shit had happened, I still would not be a fan of yours right now. Because the way you move in this industry is fucking weird, is slimy, is scazy, is fugazi. You're not someone to admire. You're not someone to look up to. You don't even look up to yourself. You haven't done any self-reflection because you're still doing the same tired shit you were doing last year. I can't admire somebody like that. I can't admire somebody who goes to court over a rap beef, you bitch. All I can do is look at you with complete and utter disgust. But I hope you keep going. I hope you keep proving to the world just how much of a fucking bitch you are. And that's the best part about being a Drake hater, you know? You're never gonna stop being a loser. You truly are the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, there has to be a better way. Hey, you're still here. That's good, actually. I wanted to let you know that if you want, you can watch this video. Only if you want. Only if you want.